Today, on the Vince Everett Ellison Show, I'm going to explain to y'all what Stockholm Syndrome really is and how the Democratic Party has used this to keep the black people in line. No matter how they treat them, no matter how bad things are, they will always support them. And there's a psychological condition that makes this happen. And it's called Stockholm Syndrome. You've heard me talk about it a few times, but I've never really explained it in depth. And I'm going to do that today on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. Started. You know, my friends, my quest started a long time ago when I wrote my first book, The Iron Triangle. And it started when people asked me a question. A lot of my friends, conservatives, mostly white conservatives, asked me this very, very serious question. Vince, why do conservative black people vote for the liberal Democratic Party? It makes no sense. Liberal white people will vote for the liberal candidate, black or white. Conservative black people will vote for the conservative candidate, black or white. But black people will vote for the Democrat, whether that Democrat is liberal, conservative, or moderate. The ideology just does not matter. Why? I had to ponder that. And I started my research. And I read the Patrick Moynihan report in 1965. He wrote it. And Moynihan talked about a condition in the black community. He called it SAMBO. Stockholm Syndrome had not been developed yet. Stockholm Syndrome was developed back in 1973, but Moynihan even talked about in his Moynihan report how black people had this tendency to allow themselves to be mistreated by white Southerners. And the worse they were treated, the more apt they were to stay. And he talked about how this syndrome had developed amongst Jewish people in Nazi POW camps. And he was saying that this was applied to black people and that it had to be broken. Well, the term Stockholm Syndrome came out in 1973. I'm going to tell you what it is, then I'm going to tell you how it all developed. Okay, Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological phenomenon where captives develop positive feelings toward their captives or their captors. It's primarily associated with hostage situations and kidnappings, though it can occur in various abusive contacts. Various abusive contacts. In some instances, the victims form bonds with their captors. It may even become sympathetic towards them. The opposite of feeling fear, terror, and disdain, which one may expect in these situations. The term originated from a 1973 bank robbery in Stockholm, Sweden. During a 6-day standoff, 4 hostages formed emotional bonds with their captors, even defending them after release. Isn't that interesting? Now, you say, well, Stockholm Syndrome, that's a lie. Vince don't know what he's talking about. Vince Everett tripping. All the other talking about. I said, okay, let me read you something. Show you how this is not something that is really, well, the term is new. The term is new. But the actions of it are not new. The psychological trauma has always been here for centuries. Well, forever, actually. Abraham Lincoln even talked about it during his Cooper Union address. But of course, he didn't call it Stockholm Syndrome. This speech made Abraham Lincoln president of the United States of America. It's done in New York City on February 27th, 1860. And Lincoln was defending the fact that the Republican Party was not a abolitionist party. Abolitionist means that you want to free all the slaves. The Republican Party was an anti-slavery party, which meant that you can keep the slaves you have. We just don't want to expand slavery into other territories. That's the difference. Abolition means free all the slaves that are there. You can't have any more. Anti-slavery means you can keep the slaves that you have, but we don't want it to spread any further. So the Republican Party during that time was not an abolitionist party. It was an anti-slavery party, and Lincoln was defending this fact when he made this statement. Lincoln says, and Lincoln is talking about the slave insurrections. He says slave insurrections are no more common now than they were before the Republican Party. Now, he's trying to say that the Democrats are saying that you guys are trying to cause insurrections. So he said, much is said by Southern people about the affection of slaves for their masters. Wasn't that interesting? Much is said by Southern people about the affection of slaves for their masters and mistresses. And a part of it, at least, is true. And then he talks about you saying that we can cause the insurrection. Lincoln says, a plot for an uprising could scarcely be devised and communicated to 20 individuals before some one of them, to save the life of a favorite master or mistress, would divulge it. Would divulge it. Lincoln said we couldn't get an insurrection started because one of the slaves is going to tell their master. Divulge it. Mess it all up. Stockholm Syndrome. So he said, at the end of it, he said, occasional poisonings from the kitchen and open stealthy assassinations in the field and local revolts extending to a score or so will continue to occur at the natural results of slavery, but no general insurrection of slaves, as I think, can happen in this country for a long time. And whoever much fears or much hopes for such an event will be alike disappointed. You ain't gonna get no slave insurrection in the South, Lincoln said. You can give up on that. Slaves love their masters too much. So this Stockholm Syndrome thing isn't just a phenomenon that's happened in the past few years or the past few decades. It's always been there. And it hasn't been cured. Now, there is a cure to Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, they have it. You know what it is? It's not hard. They've talked about it. But the people don't want to do it. They don't want to, the Democratic Party don't want to cure Stockholm Syndrome. You know why? Because it works for them. It's very simple. Okay. Yeah, that's treatment for Stockholm Syndrome. All you have to do is do it. But the Democratic Party, they don't want to cure a slave. Why would they want to cure the black people's Stockholm Syndrome so they'll go and vote for another party? What are some of the cures? Psychotherapy. It says cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, trauma-focused therapy, and supportive therapy can help individuals process their experiences, develop coping mechanisms, and build healthier relationships. Another, medication. Support groups. Join support groups with others who have experienced similar situations can provide a sense of community and understanding. Education. They sure don't want this one. And this is the best one. Learning about Stockholm Syndrome and its symptoms can help individuals understand their experiences and seek appropriate support. Recovery process. Safety. The first priority is to ensure the individual's safety and remove them from the abusive situation. What? Remove them from the abusive situation. That means get them away from Democrats. See, we didn't do that after slavery. You were supposed to remove them from their old masters, like Lincoln asked them to do. He said, I'll give you the state of Texas, or I'll move you out west. We got a lot of new territory out there. We have the Homestead Act, where we'll give you 150 acres of land. If you're willing to work it for 5 years, it's yours. You can use the land as collateral to get your mule and your house and all your supplies. No! They stayed with their master. Lincoln even offered to send them back to Liberia if they wanted to go back to Africa. No! So, safety, removing the person from the abusive situation. And even now, they want to stay under the arm and the enclaves of the Democratic Party. Inner city Chicago, inner city Memphis, inner city Detroit. Can't get them out. Trust. Building trust in a therapist or a support system is essential for recovery. Well, you can get that up. Democrats ain't giving you nothing like that. Empowerment, helping individuals regain control over their life and make their own decisions is crucial. The Democratic Party is going to empower you. They'll empower you to put a needle in your arm. That's what they'll empower you to get involved in the LGBTQ lifestyle. That's what they empower you to do. They'll empower you they want to give you HIV PrEP so you can go out there and have sex all night long and hopefully you don't get a disease. They empower you to get a sex change operation. Yeah, they empower you for that. But empowering you, helping the individual regain control over their life and make their own decisions, hell to the double no when it comes down to that with the Democratic Party. And then the last one is patience. Recovery from Stockholm Syndrome can be long and challenging process, like about 200 years. It's important to be patient and understanding with the individual's progress. Well, I about round up my patience with these black Democrats, man. I mean, I don't know how much worse they can treat you. But you got the iron triangle there that's thwarting everything. I think that part of what I'm doing is counseling. This is why I do this podcast. I'm doing counseling. It's community service. You just turn on YouTube and watch it for free. Trying to get you away from the abusive relationship, trying to counsel you to stay away from these folks, trying to educate you about what it is. It is a syndrome. Listen to me well, baby. You are in a position where you are being taken advantage of by someone that cares nothing about you. It is the equivalent of you having a husband that's beating the hell out of you, or a wife that's beating the hell out of a lot of you men, okay? It's an abusive relationship. And you have the ability to leave it and start a new life away from these terrible, terrible, terrible people. The Iron Triangle, the most black preachers, most black politicians, most black civil rights workers, they're the ones behind it. If you have yourself a black preacher that is a Democrat, he's an apostate, he's a liar. If you got yourself a black organization like the NAACP, SELC, who's supporting the Democratic Party, they're apostates and they're liars. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all of them too. And black politicians that are Democrats, boy, they are this, You just need to just, I'm not advocating violence. This is all, figurative, but you need to just take a match, set them on fire. They just a horrible group of people. Just horrible. You don't get any worse. And Lincoln's Cooper Union speech says it all. Even back then, they knew you couldn't have a slave uprising. You say you love your master too much. You're not going anywhere. He was trying to tell the South, they don't have to worry about us. We know that we can't free these people. I mean, I had a brother walk out to me one time. He said, if Jesus can't help these people, man, what make you think you can? Think you greater than Jesus? He said, no, just a voice crying in the wilderness. Some people from my comments, I've been told, have watched this content and they've changed. So when people tell me that, I say, you need to read my comments. Because many people have told me that they have read what I've said and it's changed them. And if I can help one, then that is enough. If I can get one person to look at this terrible party and change and turn back to Christ, there'll be one soul saved. And all my work has not been in vain. What is the old Jewish saying? One who saves one life saves the whole world entire. So Stockholm Syndrome is there, y'all. It is a psychological trauma that was thrown at our people during slavery. It's not impossible to break on your own. Too many slaves did it. 200,000 slaves escaped before the Confederacy formed on their own. Without no one telling them to do it, without anybody's permission, they decided to exercise their freedom. Because it's theirs. It's yours. God gave it to you. And you're trying to give it away, but you can't. You still have it. You can't say somebody took your freedom. No, you still have it. And you're exercising it. And you're choosing to be a slave. You're exercising your freedom. Nobody's taking it from you. It's still yours. Now, if somebody locks you up in a cage, they may have taken your liberty, but your freedom is here. It's in your head. You're still going to be judged by your actions. You're still going to be judged by what you do. And you're still going to be judged by who you are. They can't take away your dignity. Even if you give it to them, it's because you chose. It's still yours. You can't give it away. So I hope I helped you with Stockholm Syndrome. I hope you understand how the Stockholm Syndrome from slavery still exists today. So when sometimes you hear black people talk about generational trauma, I agree with that. But I always tell them that generational trauma comes from the Democratic Party. And that right now you're choosing to stay with your master. Slavery is a choice. It was a choice then, it's a choice now. You have an option right now to change it, move from it, stop it, do something else. And if you don't, you chose to stay. Will it take bravery? Yes. Will it take sacrifice? Yes. That's why many can't do it. That's why they'd rather complain and stay where they are. So I hope that you get the intestinal fortitude and the courage to say, I believe in God, not man. That God has given me a plot of land to plow and it's mine. And the Democratic Party, that cabal of perverts, liars, psychopaths, anti-Christian bigots, thugs, hoes, and rappers, the party of slavery from 1800 to 1860, the party of the Confederacy from 1860 to 1865, the party of Jim Crow from 1865 to 1965, now the party of transgenderism, aborting babies in the 9th month, LGBTQ, open borders, fentanyl across the borders, illegal immigration, taking your guns away, putting porn in your children's libraries, having drag queens shake their behinds in your children's faces. Yeah, that party. You need to shake it off or end up going down with it because you will be judged by God about every decision that you make and everything that you do. But I believe many of you are going to make the right decision. You're going to leave this evil institution behind. You're going to turn back to Christ, and you're going to save your lives, save your soul, and save the lives and the souls of your family. And I'm going to keep bringing this message to you until you do it, because I'm here to wake you up. And I hope I did you some good here today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website, and on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got t-shirts, we got caps, you got my books, my documentaries, you got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new t-shirts, We're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the t-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.